What good is to have all the money and the title, and if you come home and you compete with your spouse? For what? You are to offer yourself to your spouse. You are to surrender yourself to your spouse. You are to give yourself to each other, but not for each other's keeping, as Gibran has said. When I surround my love to myself, my body, to my wife, I trust that my wife will also do the same, and without violating this trust. Because a promise gives a birth to a trust relationship. So if you are a competitive person, that means you are aggressive and you're uncooperative, and that means conflict is war. You get your gun, it's war. It's the total objective here is for you to win, and you have only concern for yourself, and you have no interest or concern for others. This is not a healthy relationship. You have to avoid, but at least if you know yourself, you are that person, inform your spouse that deal with me and give me time and I will change. But don't break me, because sometimes you make threat and you break with each other. The person who's avoider or avoidance, you have no concern, not for you, not for your spouse, not for the children, not for anybody. You avoid it because you pretend to have a fake peace. Fake peace. That means, well, you do things to present or to preserve a peaceful relationship, but there really is not a natural or any peace exists, even though it's a hollow peace. Non-assertive and passive behavior characterized by it. May provide time to reflect on issue, may convey message, conflict is bad, lack of concern for each other. If you are that individual, confess it and confront yourself without someone label you, because especially we do not like to be labeled. We know what's wrong with us. You don't need to tell me I'm a bald-headed man. I know I don't have hair, but don't rub it in. Okay? I know I'm not a 6 feet tall, handsome, and have hair. I know that. I know my shortcoming. Many of us, we know our shortcoming. But don't step on it. Let me become aware of them. Now, accommodating style is you neglect yourself for your spouse, and it's characterized by non-assertiveness but cooperative behavior. That may reduce creative option. That means, yeah, okay, do whatever you want, and the solution will not be 100% addressed. Now, clarify the issue. Resolving your issue, find out what each other wants. Identify various alternatives. Decide to negotiate. In other words, agree to disagree. These are essential tools. In corporation, in medicine, if you work in the hospital, this is what you do. And you need to communicate if you work with anybody, let alone to communicate with your own spouse. And then solidify the agreement, review and negotiate. Remember, in marriage, not everything's written in gold. You might promise something, but you may forget. Let it go. You know, don't make an issue about every little things. You know, I didn't know my anniversary was coming up. That was announced in the church. And I don't not know my wife's birthday till somebody called me. Nassar, he knows everybody in the church, and wished, this is to wish Nuhad his birthday. Tell me a couple of days before. Not now, Nassar, but you know, you have to let go. Learn to defer event. Learn to say, today is our anniversary, but maybe we're both working. Maybe today we have to go to a baptism. Maybe today there's some family obligation. Maybe today you had an emergency. You can. I learned that in the life of a priest, because my life is always on call. my family, my children learn that yes, you can always celebrate Valentine 3 weeks after Valentine. You can always celebrate an anniversary a month later, or even make it together. So if you are flexible, you can do that. Now, gender role in family today is changing. And thank God it's changing. That means women and men are rising to do many good work. I believe the next president of the United States, if not now, in the near future, will be a woman. So women are in every part of education, government, judicial, medicine, and that's the nature of democracy. And it should not be threatened, because our marriage is holy. But when you come home, don't pretend to be the chief or the order giving. Many professional women and men, they fall into the trap of bringing their work at home, and they bring their title at home, and they can solve everyone else's problem except their own problem. Don't fall into that trap. Now, both are willing to make adjustment. You both are satisfied with division of labor. Both work hard to an equal relationship. Couple make most decisions jointly, and household work is based on preference. So please don't tell me to put a nail in the wall, but I can enjoy doing the snow. Don't ask me to fix the bed, but I will maybe take the laundry down. So it's about preference. We're different. Men and women are different in their preference. But as long as you don't stay outside the equation, you need to participate. It's your life. Now, it's okay. This is where people fight over. They fight over that I am doing everything and you're doing nothing. Unfair labor division in the household. Or because you are the wife, you must cook, raise a family, wash the dishes. You know, this doesn't work anymore. My wife works. She doesn't work. If your wife works, I will start dinner. And I will wash the dishes. Because I'm able to learn these skills. So gender role is changing. But don't ever women try to act like men and men try to behave as women. If you do that, you will end up with one person, yourself. You need men, you need women, because God made us in His image and likeness, but each one of us has a calling. You are to do your best in your calling. Don't confuse the issue. So, or disagree whether a wife should work. If from now, agree on how many children you're going to have. Agree if your wife is going to work. If you're going to live with family. If you're going to live for a while in an apartment. If your mother is coming to visit 2 weeks after your wedding, bring all these issues to the table. Because half of us still have the other half of the family back home. And we don't know when they come. But also agree on all these issues. That we make decision together. And if somebody comes to visit, we're glad to have them. Pray they leave as soon as possible. Okay, go ahead. Now, again, dominant man and dominant woman. They use money to control. So in our relationship, every family is these are the 6 bases of family power. It could either, my power is to punish you, or my power is to reward you, or my power because I am the priest by legitimacy, or I am the grandfather, or I am the husband, or I am the wife. Or power comes with expertise. Every time a court call call for an expert witness. You probably hear that in your job always. So sometimes power comes to us by the nature of who we are and what we do. Or sometimes in our culture, power comes by being an elderly person in the family. And the elderly person does not want to really control your life, but just to show them that respect, and they give you all their life. I mean, Sito and Jiddo, and aunt and uncle. Yeah, sometimes we're overbearing. Yeah, but it does not last forever. Or maybe I have the information. Power comes to us through who knows more. But in marriage, it does not make a difference who makes more money. If you work and your wife doesn't work, she is working and she's bringing the money. Just by nature of not having a job does not mean that I am not worthy. In my own marriage, my wife worked in the first few years because we didn't have a church, we didn't have people, we didn't have anything. But I have never ever since brought home a check or money and ever made my wife feel it's not her money. Now, what do? I will advise you as professional, because you're always working. All of you are working. Have your own private credit card. The husband, the wife. Have your own checking account. And have a mutual saving. Why I'm saying this? You're not a child for me to interrogate you and you have to come and give me a report. What did you buy? Healthy relationship, don't ask. I trust that you know you bought your need. So at least you can create a world that you're independent and you create a world that you're together. And if the husband didn't ask or the wife didn't ask, you tell them, I went shopping, this is what I bought. I'm happy for you. Don't say, you broke us, we have no money. But if you have no money, you have no business going shopping. You have no business going shopping. Because I knew some relationship that every month they will sit down and they go comb their telephone bill, whom you called, where did you buy, how come you didn't ask me, and then money become the flood that will kill you. You need to trust one another, trust your ability to make decisions, and trust. If you are an habitually high spender, go seek help. Sometimes women go shopping. Today we're finding out people go shopping buy on the telephone or on television, what do you call them, house shopping. And I remember I went one time to bless a home for a lady, and she took me to a room that has maybe 200 gifts unwrapped, but has the name on it. She will buy them for a shower, baptism, gift, weddings, graduation, but she will not give it to anybody. She will keep it. A lot of people they just hoard things. That does not make for a good relationship. I have never asked my wife, what did you buy? I completely trust her. I get so offended when she asks me, what did you buy? Now, I don't know with women that they need to know. Well, I just bought stuff. Why? Because. So, we buy things, and for men do not like to be questioned, because when we're questioned, we assume that we are being interrogated. I know she doesn't mean it, so I begin to say, I bring whatever I buy, especially the things that she does not like. And I said, these are for me. It's not for you. You can use them if you want. I don't want to use it. So you better settle these differences, because money can really destroy you. Now, it's okay, we dealt with this, go ahead. Now, how do you build, we come to the conclusion in the last session this afternoon, talking about how do you build a strong foundation? Well, study shows those who are married, they live a better, healthy lifestyle. That means you don't take any more high risk. You don't go, to Fort Lauderdale to get wasted, with your spring break anymore. You don't do, ignorant things, childish things. So when you get married, you really need to be responsible. If you drink too much, you should try to less your drink. If you gamble too much, you should gamble less. And if you are controlling freak, you should learn not to let go. So you need to move away. So healthy married life has a lot of benefit. Study shows those who are married, they live longer, and they're more satisfied in their sexual relationship, and children do better in a couple household. Now, what are the components of a successful marriage today in the 21st century? Number one, you're independent on your own, right? And mature. You have a mature partner. So you remember when I said you can have your own credit card, your own checkbook, but you have a mature partner. Today, successful marriage, they when I said loves themselves, that means they respect themselves. They appreciate themselves, because the Bible teaches us that your body is the temple of God. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So you need to treat it with care. So you need to love yourself. This is not love of selfishness, but no, you need to be presented to each other. Don't live a life that not to be presentable to each other. We need men and women to always, even when we are in public or in private, to be presentable to each other. That makes a good relationship. You enjoy your time alone. You enjoy your time with your girlfriend. You enjoy your time with your friend as a man. You enjoy time with being with your family. And you enjoy time being together. So, and above all, you are to give of yourself to your surrounding, to your church, to your charitable organization. You are to give of yourself to volunteer. No matter how busy you are, you can still do something. The issue today that you are so busy that you get on a road of destructiveness without checking where you're going. You can be too successful as a couple financially and vocationally as a career, but you can grow apart as people. Be careful. Once you marry, it's an equal partnership. Those who have degrees and those who have no degrees. Those who have title and those who have no title. Because at home, you're not the bookkeeper. You're not the attorney. You're not the doctor. You're not the shoemaker. You're not the grocery. You are a husband and you're a wife. I remember when my son was married, I had a woman who lashed at me by saying, well, how come you didn't announce your son has a job as a doctor? I said, but my son today is a husband. Don't bring the title to be a cause of friction. Every one of us has a holy vocation. Whether you're a shoe repair or a physician, whether you're a painter or a priest. God calls us to work, and we all have jobs. So be careful. Don't let this to be a negative source of contention in your own home. So now, the first year probably faced by newlywed is difficult. You come home, and today, congratulations, you went to school, you went to college, but you have $1 million debt. You have a school loan, right? You borrowed money to buy everything. So you come to a relationship that you already are in debt. And so that it takes balancing job and marriage. Frequent sexual relationship, expectation about household tasks, in-laws. This is why I said, when you're serious about your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your fiancé, tell them, I want to meet the rest of the family, even the one you don't want me to meet. Because in you, everything in that family. We do not grow from nowhere. We're a product of family, of goodness, and sometimes dysfunction. Also, the first few years is the financial decision making and communication. These are, they call it the first adjustment years. They're very beautiful year, wonderful year, but they also have, it's like healing. You know, when you're wounded, the wound has to heal from inside out. But once you're healed, you're good. Last things, marriage need work. It does not fix itself. Don't say because I'm married, I'm a woman, I'm a husband, I do all these things for you, and expect to be happy. You have to say, what should I do? What's my obligation toward that relationship? Today, a couple can get lost in the midst of family time or career time because it limits family outside activity, schedule couple time, and activity. No one is busy like I am, but I always make time to sit down and eat dinner together. And in your life, you have to eat dinner at least 3 times a week together or 4 times. And when you have children, it has to be 5 times. Because study shows those who sit and eat together, they have a 90% chance to produce children, to raise children that may not get hooked on drugs or alcohol or abusive relationship, because you're constantly connecting with each other. You know, what are you doing? How happy you are. I'm glad that you're here. So today my kids married, they have their own life, and I still have one who's not married, but I always make sure that maybe once a month two can have family together. But I do not expect them to come home every day for dinner. That would drive them crazy. So they let them be alone, and it's okay. I like my own time now as an old man with my wife. So you need to know how to hold them, how to fold them, and when to run. You know, get the heck out. So now we come now to the mystery of love. Everything I said to you in the first 2 hours or 3 hours was a basic principle of one side of the coin. One side. Unless we complement the other side with this understanding, marriage will never be the same. In other words, you are made of bone and flesh, but you are made of soul and heart. So this is what we come. And I wish to discuss with you today, what are the security of shared love? Shared love means God, not you. You don't give me this permission. You do not give me this value, what God gave me. You and only you that God made. God made you and broke the mold. In other words, you are so special. So no one has the right to put you down. No one has the right to call your name. Because in you, when I look at my wife's face, my husband's face, I see God's face. And if you approach marriage that way, you never cross the line. No matter how angry you are, you don't raise your hand to it, you don't call a name to damage, and you don't make a threat. So when I went out to do my work, I went and did a lot of study. And I found out everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be in love. But nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody wants to do anything. And I found out in my research that living from love and goodness of God makes us free. God has complete you. Everything you need. Everything you have. And marriage makes you perfect. But you are complete on your own as a woman, as a man. And together you complement each other. You complement each other. So, because it means we do not have to make ourselves count. If my life is a gift, I do not have to establish its value and dignity. I do not have to make myself matter. If my life is a gift, I can live freely. I don't need to prove myself. I'm already proven. I'm already proven. We can improve ourselves in skills and knowledge, but not everything that you have. So, we must rise from our circumstances knowing that we're not self-made. And every time I go to a graduation, it drives me crazy. And the first time a doctor graduated in that family, his cousin, I'm honored to present to you my cousin so-and-so, self-made man. This is a lie. I came to this cousin, I said, where was his parents? Oh yeah, his parents worked the stores for so many hours. But where was the mother? Yeah, mother cried for him all these years. I said, and who brought him to being? God. You're not self-made. You have stepped on other people's shoulder. Someone prayed for you. Someone instructed you. Someone fed you. Someone advised you. And someone hugged you. Man is not an island. We're not, and came from the sky. I am who I am as a grown-up priest for my family, for my people, for my altar boy, for my deacon, for the people I visit in the hospital. That's what makes life. So no one is an island. No one is a self-made. There is no end to God's creative love. Just think, we live because God loves us. And this is where most couples forget. They forget God. They leave Him in the church after the wedding. Don't leave God in the church after. Bring Him with you. Bring Him home. So there is no end to His creative love. Just like when a friend tells us that our love and support keeps them going, God is love. Does the same for us. It keeps us going. As this author Wedo so aptly said, God does not create and then abandon us. Does not. God does not draw us to live only to leave us on our own. God loves is the gift from which everything is created and lives. So in everything you do, in cooking, in career, in being sometimes angry, don't leave God out of the equation, because you leave yourself out of this relationship. So self-knowledge and loving self and understanding one's purpose in life are needed in order to succeed in finding happiness. The Christian perspective, indeed, is based on believing that we are creature. We are creature made in God's image and likeness, who sent Jesus to earth to do His work. So in today's world, where do you find happiness? Here is the danger that is given to you. This is the 21st century's lies. Happiness is cloaked in many disguises. We think happiness is money. Happiness is fast car. Happiness to have everything. spacious home, exotic vacation. This all does not bring you happiness. These are all fleeting. We are Christian, baptized, made member of God's holy church. Happiness comes only when you are content in your heart. And when you're content in your heart, you can even grow greater. You can have more, but you don't feel you're missing out. So count on what you have and appreciate what you have rather what you don't have. Rather what you don't have. A person who is not content, I've seen multi-millionaire, billionaire, like people I know, and they still are very unhappy. So you must be true to who you are right now. How do you touch that person's life? How I touch my wife's life? How would I touch my husband's life? Were they inspired by me? Did they accomplish something worthwhile as a result of what you did to them? This is called encouraging. Did they listen to you? So when you find people who are happy, they exhibit the following. They are well balanced. They're well rounded. They're not extreme. They're not extreme left or extreme right. That's what happiness brings. They are happy at home, happy at work, happy in church, happy with their family, happy with their friend. They are happy with their community. Happiness does not mean we do not face a rainy day. Yes, there would be cloud. I mean, God help us, we're sitting here in the tons of snow. Happiness does not mean that we don't face a rainy day. Happiness means the sun would rise again. Would rise again. So welcome to happiness. Happiness is the reward that comes our way when we have utilized our what? Say that loudly. How often we do that? When we use God's gift to us, we become happy. Now, happiness comes with a great deal of what? Accountability. That means I, as a husband, will not be happy over the expense of my wife. And if I am a wife, my happiness should not come over the expense and well-being of my husband. So happiness comes to us a great deal. Randy, we're freezing here. Okay. It requires accountability and responsibility. St. Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I played as a child, I comprehended as a child. But when I became grown up, I became responsible. So, the same author, Paul Wirrell says, Christian moral life is an ongoing training in happiness. You think you're happy now? Wait 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. The older I become, I'm 63 with 7 grandchildren, with a multitude of responsibility, I am more content and happy in my life than I ever was. So, it must be lived in community. So in order for me to be happy, I can't be on my own. I have to be with the people from Ramallah, Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, America. I must be in connection with my husbands and wife and the children and the relative and all what comes with us. Don't get married and say, well, I don't like your sister. I mean, she's here. There's nothing I can do about her. I cannot send her back to my mother's womb. Deal with it. So, don't put obstacle in your life. Listen what happiness requires to sustain in friendship, and this is the heart of a good marriage. Good friend is the foundation that makes marriage shine and alive and happy. So that is what good friend and good community do. And here is Saint John Chrysostom once said, and he stressed the link between unity in marriage and mutual shared love. He said, the other party is you. Yeah, your wife is you. Your husband is you. The other party, therefore, is yourself when you love. For this is friendship, that the lover and the beloved should no longer be two persons divided, but in a matter of one single person. Something which can never happen except from love. Therefore, seek not your own, that you can find your own. If you are a boring person, don't marry a boring person. You both are boring. So that means whatever quality in my spouse is, I will embrace, because it enrich my life. The other, remember that, the other party is you. So loving yourself become even more natural when you nurture yourself spiritually in prayer and fasting. Open yourself to be more compassionate and loving toward others. In Ephesians 5:25 and 28, we are told, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So it man to love their wife as they love their body. He that loves his wife, love whom? It comes back to you. It comes back to you. It's not a one-way street. So, plan your own garden instead of waiting for someone to bring you flower. And now here, learn to say thank you. Learn always to be grateful. Gratitude is the heart of a good attitude. This child is being even a homeless, is grateful that he's alive instead of condemning his condition. So, take love seriously. Love is hard work. Love can bring you up or tear you apart. He who is filled with love is filled with whom? With God himself. So take God with you. Because all the principle of loving attitude is inspired by God. When we read in Scripture, I love you forever. I would love you in holiness, in righteousness, in goodness, in steadfast love, and in mercy. As long as we both know God. That is the leveling field that brings balance to a relationship. So, how do you communicate intimate relationship? When you are, as man and woman, utilize different technique when you communicate with each other. Both men and women, both sexes. There are some communication stumbling block. You have to know that now. There is a shortcoming in me as a man, and there is a shortcoming in me as a woman. In order to improve your communication with women, hear what man need. Man, make notice of it. Men need to give non-verbal feedback by smiling, approval, nodding, showing that you are listening, and using more eye contact to demonstrate your attentiveness. So men should talk less about their own interest. Sometimes some men will just drive you crazy talking about what they do all day. That's why they don't get the second call for another date, you know. They drop them out. Or interrupt. Women wants men to interrupt less and listen better. Now here, what women wants them to be gentle in their careers and to cuddle and to hug more. Not every hug with men in the mind of a woman need to a sexual escapade. But this is the way men function. We can't help it. So what you do, you kind of tune it down. You know, God made our sexuality different than women. Man can easily be aroused and excited and in the mood. That's not what women cannot be easily aroused, cannot be easily in the mood, cannot be. And because we are different, that's what makes it good. That's what makes it perfect. Now here is men need to show more emotion and become more comfortable with giving and taking of an appraise. Women, you need to acknowledge that men are not what? We do not know what's on your mind. Don't assume and don't, presume. You will be so disappointed. Women need to offer what they want gently. Nothing turns off a man more than when a wife yells at him or tell him what to do. It is maybe physically we're not capable of doing it. That is a big turn off when a woman yell at the man, shout with him, call name. You already lost this relationship. So women need to offer what they want in a loving, direct. Nagging does not help. So to take love seriously, women want most to be heard. Man wants to fix things. I don't even know how to fix things. But what it says that we are oriented to respond to a need. One time my wife was saying, wouldn't that be nice to go on vacation? I bought ticket. Immediately I told her, and she was so angry. She said, we cannot go on that time because somebody's birthday, we're going to a wedding and it doesn't work. And I said, whatever I do is not good enough. She said, no, you did things in the wrong way. So man is oriented to come and defend, to fix things, to answer questions. So this is why we are in a hurry to sometimes we tumble over issues. Next. So if you do not know the ingredients of love, you limit love to be sexual attraction. In sexual attraction, we're not capable of being in sexual attraction 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months a year. We're not capable. And if you only associate love with sexual attraction, most people think of love in a romantic context. But romantic love cannot exist alone. As we said, somebody said to me, they had an intimate lunch. They ate tabbouleh today. So, it needs other ingredients. So when people are patient, when you sacrifice for one another, when you communicate well, when you understand when to comfort and when to move away. So sometimes we need to know when to be close and when to move away. When you understand mutual respect and mutual admiration, you understand the totality of these ingredients is love. Love means many things to many people. In the gospel we read, we learn that God is love. And Jesus is teaching. He encourages followers to love one another and to put love into real deed. So when you say, I love you, it has to follow with an action that is loving. Don't say, I love you and I don't talk to you. Don't say, I love you and I don't respect you. Don't say, I love you and you don't matter to me. Love has to embody itself in action. So, the love that gave us life gives us other to enjoy our lives more fully. This author that said that Christian understand love by considering why humans have been given the vocation to love. Only us can we love. Only us can love and be loved. Not the trees, not the ocean, not the pet, not the animals, not anything else. So more than anything else, we have confirmed that love is what we are brought into existence to do and ought to be what we learn to do best. Because love is what makes us like home. And this is frightening for you to say. It makes us like home. And how often you're afraid to say that because you know you're not behaving as God wants you to behave. But God wants us to be like Him, in loving and forgiving. God is love, and we enjoy the happiness that is God when we become loving too. So if the Christian moral life is training in happiness, it cannot overlook the central importance of love. Love is the language of God. And when I love you, I reveal the mystery of love to each other. So be careful. Don't get too busy. Don't forget. Don't take each other for granted. So, what is love? Well, we have replaced faces with Facebook. I'm the only one in my church that probably doesn't have Facebook. People call me, I saw you on Facebook. People take my picture and they put it on Facebook. According to the fruit of the Holy Spirit, love goes through different stages and depths of feeling. It can go with attraction. It could be infatuation, communion, intimacy, submission, passion, and ecstasy. In true intimacy, body merges with body, and spirit with the spirit. Body merges with body, and spirit with the spirit. And sexual energy, spiritual energy, are recognized as the same. That's why you're married in the church. This is why you hear when you marry, the priest will say, and the two will become one. Physically, sexually, emotionally. And you dream together. You plan together. You have a vision of each other's life. So, a longer period of dating will deviate from the purpose of marriage. Because no matter how long we date, we always present ourselves in reserved manner. All of our shortcomings may not surface, but in time they will. What will be revealed immediately will be what we value. So you need to marry a man who have moral value. That wrong is wrong and cheating is cheating. We live in a society today that it seems to me we do as we please as long as nobody knows. Don't trust a man who lives that way. Don't trust a woman who lives that way. We are held accountable for everything we do because God sees the secret of our heart. What is your understanding of family? From now, do you enjoy extended family? Do you want to go with me to church? And this is why, I do not marry couple and insist that they have to convert immediately. As long as one of them in the church, a man or a woman, I leave joining the church to them to make up that decision. But a study showed that if you don't settle this issue now, it will become problematic. It can be problematic. You need to decide where to get married, and when you marry, you raise your family. It's simple as that. Don't marry in the church because your wife is in the church. You marry in where you want to grow and where you want to raise a family. Fortunately, We are a family-oriented church. So sometimes a man or woman, they feel at home when they join our church. In time, they will choose to convert. So, what does it mean? Ask yourself, what does it mean that I am a Christian? Being a Christian means doing everything with love. Thinking, talking, playing, working, being even angry. Love is patient, and love is kind. Love does not envy, does not keep a record of wrong, does not parade and puff itself, does not seek its own. It's not provocative, does not rejoice in the wrong and iniquity, but rejoice in the truth. God's love endures. It never ends. Even when we stop loving Him, God keep what? Loving us. Even when you stop loving God, God always loves you. Even when we are unfaithful. So love has a cost. It has a price. It has an accountability. Now, love might be magic when we first meet each other. Magic. You want to do everything to each other. We're going to call each other everything. You want to be with each other. Even though it's magic, love can also be an illusion. Can be an illusion. Now, if you're not a balanced person, love will be an illusion. You can stalk people. You can control people. One time I had a couple, they came to get, she's from my church, and after 2-3 months, she brought a planner with her about every moment what they talked about and every flower that he gave her. She dried it. And everything they've done. I told this man, if I were you, I'd run out. Run away. She will devour you. And she will freeze you. That's not healthy. He did run away. So now we come to say what we didn't say in the first half. That marriage is holy. Why you marry in the church? You marry in the church because Christ is a witness to your vow. You marry in the church because the angel is there to lift you up on an eagle wings when you're down and out. You marry in the church when you find a saint who gives you hope that yet in time of difficulty the sun will rise. You marry in the church to fulfill a promise who Jesus said, I am with you always until the end of time. So it's not because the church is pretty or the church. I remember one time our church burned down. I don't know if anybody remember. 20 some years ago. And we had to use other churches. And it happened, it was August and 130-degree temperature. And we rented a church at St. George Romanian on 9 Mile. And it was a Sahli wedding, I remember. And it was so hot, so sweating. And you know, priests have to wear so many layers, and let alone la arous about her dress, and so much. So her uncle, without asking anybody, noticed that there was a commercial fan in the balcony of the church. He brought the fan, and he put we are here, the bride and groom here, and I am here, the table here. He put it behind them, and he turned it on. And guess what happened? Her dress flew all over the place. Even that moment was so distracting. It is in God's presence, because God moved with us even in the chaos. And He bring you order. He bring you order. He's the anchor of your ship wherever you go. Wherever you go. So, Marriage is holy. No couple wants to think about the difficulty that they might lie ahead after they get married. But it is unwise to ignore these potential pitfalls. Today, I did not teach you everything. I shared with you the meaning of how to be flexible and not to be rigid, how to communicate and how to be kind. But believe me, you're going to face your own difficult days. I only gave you the tools to at least be cautious when you fall into it, what to do about it. That's all. So, there was a priest by Emilius, Father Emilianus. He addressed the hardship of married life. He said, marriage then is a journey through sorrow and joy. You can't be happy 24 hours. If you're happy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year, you belong in a mental hospital. Nobody can be happy that, you can be happy to wake up for the next day and do something about your happiness. So, it's a journey through sorrow and joy. When sorrow seems overwhelming, then you should remember that you're not alone. That God is with you. He will take up your cross. It was He who placed the crown of marriage on your head. When we place this crown and we said, Thou hast set upon their head crown of precious stone. They ask life of you, God, and you give it to them. And we sing, O Lord, crown them with glory and honor. It was He who set this crown, not the priest, not the deacon. We are His instrument. Okay? So, when something does not always supply the solution right away, God will fill your cup. He will lead us forward very slowly. Sometimes He takes years. We have to experience pain. Otherwise, life would have no meaning. We need to experience disappointment. We need to experience sorrow. We need to experience missing out something. So at least you will desire to have that. That you will desire to have happiness. You know what's happening in our home? Our kids are so privileged, they have everything. They grow up to be a robot. Like they have nothing. Next time, go to Christmas party and watch your nieces and nephew open gift. They go from package to package. And then, okay, so that's all? Is this all? For God's sake, I work 7 days a week. That's why you find today's guilty parents. They want to make their kids happy. They buy them everything. You need to make your kids happy. Be there for them. That's the best medicine they want. They can always manage. Many of you were grown up with little things. I've never had a toy as a child in my life, not even knowing what's a toy. The only entertainment we had, we rented a bicycle in Hama, Syria from a bicycle shop for like a penny to bring it in an hour. And sometimes we steal it, we don't bring it in 2 days. But that's the only things we had. But we've grown up to be normal. We didn't feel that we missed out on something, that I didn't have that. So, becoming a virtuous person takes time and practice. Those who are in any career you do, whether you are a grocery owner, a banker, a doctor, it takes practice to become genuinely good. You're not born knowing all practice, because years and experience can only come in time. Not in books. Books, it equipped you with knowledge. Ask anyone who goes to medical school. When they go to the hospital, they say, what a waste of time, this medical school. We didn't learn anything. It is here when we're seeing the patient. So, become a virtuous person takes time and practice. Virtue can only grow in a humble heart. In a humble heart. This is when you become more forgiving. Humility is the foundation of all virtue, according to great Saint Anthony of Egypt. He said, when you acquire humility, you have everything. nobody take advantage of you. So, but there are also vices. Your generation are facing the vices of greed. Your generation faces the vices of envy, jealousy, revenge. That married or about to be married couple need to recognize and work to eliminate from their lives these vices. I'm not saying that you should not work. Work is what you're made of. But do not become greedy. I will pray that you will always be ambitious. Ambition does not mean greed. Ambition, you create more, and guess what? You can give more. Those who create more only to have it to themselves, they're missing out. The more God gives you, the more you're able to give. What good our society without these institutions? Church, hospital, school. And who built it? Generous people. Generous people. So there's a difference between ambition and greed. Ambition is you create. Greed, you hoard. You keep it. And so no matter what you have, I would know people who have millions and they live as they have nothing. They act as the poorest of the poor. So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. These vices are toxic. It will become the source of your unhappiness. Toxic habits that can prevent them from achieving the very happiness you seek. So, there is a great author, and he's a scientist. He really studied for 30 years couple. Love from a scientific perspective, not only from a spiritual or emotional, or his name John Gottman. John Gottman explained his approximate 90% accuracy in predicting which couple will divorce. I can predict within 95% accuracy couple which will be divorced in the first half an hour I meet them. Even if you talk or you don't talk, you either can sense it. I would ask the question, if you have a magic wine, Jenny, what would you like to change in Samir? After a pause, she said, I wish she does not put me down. So the couple begins by being negative. This is what destroys marriage. He offered the following sign that he used to identify a couple destined to divorce. Number one, you begin by being negative. Now, even though you know that's not going to work, but you still go through marriage because you booked the DJ, guys, you bought the dress, you ordered the cake, you reserved the hall, and above all, you send a card to hold the date. If this is my child, I would say, the heck with the DJ. We can spend the money if it's not healthy for you. Women tend not to back off because they already are in a race. So, number one, when you're constantly criticizing, people will become what? In the law, when somebody doesn't respond, you call them contempt, right? Contempt gives birth to what? Defensiveness. And defensiveness make you live with someone with a stone wall, like you're talking to the wall. So he said, when you live with that criticism always and defensiveness, he said couples tend to become overwhelmed. They become overwhelmed by one partner, negativity, leave the other partner shell shock. This is called flooding. And this is why you find people, they seek an alternative. They run away. I met a woman in Windsor. She called me to bless her house. Let alone when I got there, she was crying that her husband left a year ago. Unannounced. Without even a reason. I said to her, do you always tell him what to do? She said, yes. Do you always make decisions for him? I said, yes. Do you always make a plan for him? I said, yes. I said, guess what? The child whom you married have grown up. I said, I predict he had a tattoo and put an earring. She said, yes. And he's dating. You can be flooded. A couple, and today flooding, we learned from medicine, it can cause your heart trouble, abdominal pain, high blood pressure, ulcer, sweat in your palm, your sweat constantly, because nothing worse than a flooding. It reflects in your language, in your body, and you have become conflicting psychologically. And so he said, marriage offer you all these things. So what do you do about it? Repair. At the end of the way, the day said, you know what? I am sorry. Since marriage is the ground to create conflict, marriage should be having a tool to be repaired. Because we all criticize, subconsciously or consciously. We all say things. But if you repair them, bad memory is erased. You can rewrite history. Okay? And you can create a better, happy life. Why people go seek counseling? Because a counselor helps them to repair their way of life, to change, to convert in their behavior. So, marriage is sacred and holy. It's a covenant. We call it this a sacrament. Sacrament cannot be thrown away. Whom God has joined together, let no man separate. They asked Jesus, why did Moses give people a bill of divorce? He said, because of the hardness of your heart. And in every relationship, once your heart is shut down, you're done. Nothing will. You hear that expression? I spoke and talked till I turned blue. But don't try that. You cannot convince a person that makes you turn blue. You're wasting your energy. So, one of my favorite passages in the book of Hosea, that Hosea said to his wife, even she betrayed him, and she comes back to him. He said, I shall love you forever. I shall love you, betroth you to me in righteousness, in justice, in loving kindness and mercy. I'll betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you shall know the Lord. So that means, what are the spiritual adjectives of the spiritual marriage? Is to love someone with a sense of holiness, in the sense of righteousness and justice. That means there's right and there's wrong. That to take advantage is to love someone in loving kindness and in mercy. Mercy is God's virtue. That means you have to have the ability to let go, to forgive. Mercy means to listen. Mercy means to support. Mercy means to stand by. Mercy means to say, I'm with you. Mercy means say, I forgive you. So, compelling covenant. Marriage covenant is the promise of a man and woman to become one. What did you say to each other? In the Orthodox Church, we don't sit and say, well, I will love you, and you're everything to me, and what else? Sometimes we say stupid things. Have you been in other people married and they stand up and they sing? One time I went to a wedding, and not in my church, and the man, he said, you make me feel brand new. What about you have never been a brand new? You are new. And this is why we say in the church that may God keep you strong to keep your promises. This is the time that you give your vows to each other. This is the time that you promise one another that to live not only in good health, but to love when things doesn't go right. This is the time to say, I shall love you when things are out and down. This is the time to say, I will support you. And no one else in the church, you confirm all your promises. But by whom? In the presence of God. So in the church, the wedding sacrament in the church, is confirm all the promises you made to one another. It is sealed at the altar of the Lord. At the altar of the Lord. Okay? A marriage before God is considered irrevocable. It's intended for a lifetime. At the heart of the covenant is a promise to remain committed and faithful with primarily obligation of fidelity. For those called to be to the sacrament of marriage, it is for their mutual salvation. You know, there is a teaching, we teach in the church that marriage is for salvation. And some people don't understand that. It's the way you struggle and the way you grow, you earn your salvation. You become a kinder, better person. This is why marriage is sacred. So, Father Emilianos underlined the importance of salvation as a finishing line, the goal and aim of married life. He said, for many people, marriage is an opportunity for pleasure and amusement. Life, however, is a serious affair. Yes, we need to be happy, but this is serious business. I cannot neglect you. I cannot devour you. I cannot cause harm to you. So it's a serious business, serious affair. It's a spiritual struggle, a progression toward a goal. And what is our goal? For two heaven. Heaven and earth in our home, and heaven is yet to come. That's why you need to work on that. The most crucial juncture and most important means of this progression is marriage. Marriage make you or break you. Marriage either bring the best of you or the worst of you. Bring the best of each other. And if there is something negative, try to heal it. So we had a bishop who came and we hosted him. He was named Callistus Ward, and he is from England, graduate from Oxford. And he said, God blessed the first family of Adam and Eve and ordered them to be fruitful and multiply. The church today gives its blessing to the union of man and woman. Marriage is not only a state of nature, but a state of grace. State of grace. What's a grace? Grace is God's love, unconditional love to us. The scripture teach we're saved by grace, we walk under grace, we are loved by grace. Grace complete the incomplete. Grace is give us enough strength to be strong when we have no more strength. St. Paul says, His grace is in me sufficient, and it is complete. A married life is a special vocation. I am not only a priest, and my vocation is a priest because I'm ordained. My married life was most important than being a priest, because that was my first vocation. It's required practical gift or charism from the Holy Spirit, and this gift conferred on the sacrament of holy matrimony. And it says, the servant of God crowned to the handmaid of God. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And it takes the same crown and say to her, the handmaid of God, crowned to the servant of God. That means you are crowned equally. You are blessed equally. You are treated equally. Because in the eyes of God, we read in Genesis, and God made them male and female and called them man. That means mankind. in the eyes of God, we are all equal. So, the partner in a covenant are responsible to each other to do what? You are to nurture your relationship, growing as you build up one another in love. So in order to be successful, each partner, husband and wife, has to value the other more. The other more. This does not mean that you're less. A marriage surely succeeds when you are reminded daily that you have to work on it. Every day, when you wake up, you must offer your gift to your relationship. For the relationship to succeed, it has to be balanced. It has to be balanced. St. Paul said, love never fails. So understanding the true significance of marriage as a sacrament is one of the most important steps in preparing for marriage. So today, couple today speak of love for the here and now, but they forget that love is also for tomorrow. If you eat all your food today, you'll be hungry tomorrow. Right? Always leave a little bit more love for tomorrow. We're talking about a wedding. Now there should be also a post-wedding adjustment. Dialogue is not about expressing feeling. Sometimes we express them in a wrong place, in the wrong time, in the wrong reason. But that produces abuse and hostility and deeply hurt feelings. Healthy dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, is about resolving issues that crop up daily instead of letting them fester for months or years. If you become a good addressing your conflict, you forgive in time, and that leads to intimacy. This is how people move from the honeymoon to a relationship that will outlive their daily disagreement. I want to say something a little bit about the second topic. In my research, I learned that yes, corporation, they teach conflict resolution. But in family relationship, and especially in marriage, conflict resolution, unless it's accompanied with forgiveness, it's not a conflict resolution. Because I might go along, but I remain resentful. And if I remain resentful, I'll bring down the house. And my house will be full of darkness. So I like to speak a little bit on the issue. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because I cannot cover everything today. Go ahead. Here. A lot of people feel that when I forgive my spouse, that means he's right or she's right. No, there's nothing to do about that. Matter of fact, when I forgive my spouse, I hold him or her accountable. And a lot of people don't deal with forgiveness, even Christian to this day. Because we're the only faith from all religion in the world that Jesus made it a prerequisite. He said, if you forgive others their sin, God will forgive your sin. And if you don't blame me. So forgiveness is what unlocks the treasure of happiness. Here are some forgiveness fundamentals that might help you in your marriage. Forgiveness is both a decision and a process. Forgiving does not hide the hurt that was done, does not eliminate. We find people that they forgive those who commit crime against them. But these people who commit the crime still in jail. Justice is mine, says the Lord. So, privately, keep a log of your hurt for a while if you cannot forgive. And then destroy the paper as an act of forgiveness and letting go. So you are justified being angry when someone hurt you. Only God can forgive and forget. But if we say that we do not forget, we are not forgiving. We're not forgiving. Now, something is said in marriage relationship. Well, it said, I hate the sin and love the sinner. But can we separate people from their action? We can't. So, and I hate you when you've done something wrong with me. We have the potential to really hate. And nothing can be a best gift to a healthy life than the power to forgive each other sincerely. Now, in order to be tender and vulnerable with one another, with the one you love the most, you take a risk. How can you fully love someone when you are holding on a bitterness? How can you? It will be an artificial. It's you're buying time. Or you hold on to sadness or regret. Being vulnerable means both parties are either wounded or blessed. The following process can give you freedom and support for greater love experience on all levels of marriage. Make time for your marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Recall the depths of love you had for each other when you first dated. Sometimes you forget. In this same loving context, reflect on any hurt that you have caused your partner, or that he or she caused you to feel. Make a list of things you want to be forgiven for and things you need to forgive. Express appreciation and acknowledgement directly to your loved one for the quality, strength, and attribute you most appreciate and love. In the Orthodox Church, and that could be a surprise to all of you, we do have the sacrament of confession. But very few people come to confession. And yet we replace confession by going seeing a therapist. The priest is free. The therapist, $100 an hour. But most people feel that maybe they feel awkward, or matter of fact, a little young man did something so horrible. And he came to me crying. He said, if I tell you, you may not love me anymore. After he confessed, I said, I love you more because you need more loving now. I've never judged anybody for I walked with my people. And our church has the good, the bad, the ugly, and not good looking, and not ugly physically. They're all good looking, but ugly in behavior. You know, we are part of the human race, and our people commit crime, theft, adultery. They got in trouble with marijuana, drugs, cheating, and you know, I walked with them, even went to visit them in jail. And I told them the best revenge to come out better. I tell you a story. One time I was in a deli on 5 Mile in Farmington, and it was a hangout place for a few people from my church, and I would go to hang out with them. I was sitting on a table. Somebody just jumped from 2 tables to my feet. He said, "Are you Father George?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I came to thank you." I never met this man. I said, "So, why?" He said, "You pleaded with the parole officer that he let me attend my mother's funeral, and I was in jail. And your telephone, and you went and you pleaded with this jailer and the sheriff, and they let me go out of jail to attend my mother's funeral. And he's, not from my community, but he's my people. He's Muslim." I said to him, you know what? And he went 5 years to jail. I said, well, you know what? The best revenge is make your life a little better. Grow out of this victimization, because you're worth to live a good life. I said, by the way, what do you do now? He said, I smuggled cigarette. So people don't learn. He was telling me smuggling from where? So from North Carolina to Detroit to all these gas stations. I said, okay, what can I do? But he's in smuggling cigarette. But we need to learn how to let go. How do you forgive? Forgiveness does not happen automatically. Forgiveness is not about changing the past. It's about changing what? The future. Our people, they still live where? We're old. We're maybe 10 million years old. We're the oldest people on the inhabitants of the earth. So we hold a lot of grudges. There's a lot of room here. And among our people, sometimes we have to inherit our parents' disenchantment and madness with their family. I took an oath to my children. I said, you shall never be responsible for my sinfulness. You should never talk to people because I don't talk to them. You should never hate people that done you nothing. It's only because they made a mistake in the old country with somebody in our ancestor. No one should inherit their parents' tragedy. Life will make you make your own. So at least don't inherit that. So it's about the future. Because it allows you to move on. You remember when 10, 15 years ago, Pope John Paul was shot. And it was on the news. When he recovered, the first thing, he went to jail and he forgave his assailant. Now somebody asked me, why would he do that? I said, he did not do it for the assailant. The Pope forgave him for his own salvation, for his own soul. But the assailant still in jail. Still is being rewarded with punishment. So what are the benefits of forgiveness? Forgiveness is a great benefit. It's releasing of bitterness and anger. It opened the door to compassion, kindness, and peace. Forgiveness can lead to a healthier relationship, greater spiritual. How can you dare to say, and forgive my trespasses as I forgive other their trespasses? That means we really don't mean it. If you don't forgive, you should never be able to truthfully say the Lord's Prayer. Where do I start? Forgiveness is a commitment to change the way you are looking at someone or something that caused pain or unhappiness. I dealt with a couple whom the husband had an extramarital affair. And she said to me, she said, is this something I can live with? I said, no. He said, but I said, there is something you can do about it. You know, infidelity is a major crime. It strips you from all trust and goodwill. I said, but you can do it if you're able to forgive. It took us 2.5 years in counseling. And they're the happiest couple alive. Yes. Because we learned that today research shows that affair has nothing to do with love. Especially when it comes, with man. They should not do it. But unfortunately, some do it. And especially today with our work environment, being away from home, and a lot of temptation in this world. So consider the importance of forgiving in your own life at a given time. Remember how you first react to the offense and how that reaction has affected your life. Make a decision, a conscious decision to forgive the offender. Take control of your life instead of being victim. The person who makes you angry control you. You can be tied up in an invisible fashion 10,000 miles away to the person who perpetrated your life. When you forgive someone, you free yourself. And that's the greatest gift you give each other. So you forgive each other as a couple, one day at a time, little at a time. Because really, you're not doing anything to each other that damaging. You are probably upset, you forgot, somebody forget to do things. The things need to be forgiven is abandonment, betrayal, abuse, violence. These are the things that it cause bitterness in your own heart. Forgive because Christ forgave us. And in married relationship, that is one tool. You need to have it with you forever. I would like to stop here. There's more, but I would like to have question and answer about anything we talked about or something we didn't talk about. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you.
Now, it's like an intensive course. Some of you probably I put you to sleep. Some of you are physically here and mentally absent because it's hard to sit for 6 hours. I understand that. But I could not get you here for 6 months every week. I know how busy you are. So I like to have frank discussion, question and answer, and where we go from here. Or what is the major things that maybe clicked in your mind today that we addressed today? Read. These are only summary of, there is more in the book. Thank you. Any other question? You really are just too tired to ask a question? You want to leave? You can leave. But
I'll add to her comments. I think the thing I took home today was that it's very important to communicate to the other person, and all the themes that you emphasized, it all came back to having open communication and being able to talk through things.
Life is good.
I actually haven't been to church in a while. When you said it's getting painted, is it everything being held in the church still currently?
Yes. We still have service.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday. We even I had a memorial, a funeral, in the midst of all this construction. Now, I will encourage you to come to church and bring your spouse with you. We do not want to feel that your spouse does not feel comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable, marriage is uncomfortable. We do not want to impose on them. Any other question? Yes?
Just that everybody's different. Each person's different, so we have to approach
And how do you
some personalities.
how do you merge or okay? Yes?
She might have a question.
Yes.
It's I think a huge problem of mine. Maybe it's being too tired from work. If there's a problem and she addresses, she's wide awake always to discuss it and bring it up on. I'm too tired. I just in the midst of an argument or something, and I just ignore it or I stay quiet. How do you start to break out of it?
The best way to
stop
say,
it?
can we talk about it tomorrow?
Mhm.
But that means you really address it tomorrow. Don't avoid it. I do that at home. I come from a horrific day, death, tragedy, and I'm already talked out. And I said, give me time to unwind. But we come back to talk about it. And that is really one of the 21st century curse for couples. They're all tired, no time. You need to make time. Any other question?
I have
Well,
a question.
yes.
I think that's a good point. Is that
Yeah.
different people have different styles of
Yes.
dealing with something. I think it's really important to realize maybe I want to talk about it that minute, but then some people like to stew and kind of think about it, and then they come at it with a more calm perspective. rather
Well,
than coming at it.
I think I've kind of addressed it by saying that you both, the best discussion and communication comes when both couples are able. It is no use to talk to someone who's not there. He could be physically present but emotionally not there. Once you learn that, you learn to say that he's not ignoring you. So we need to find a different adjustment, a different approach. Yes?
How do you find that the communication between you and your spouse changes when you have children?
That there's positive and negative. When people have children, especially the women, they tend to totally ignore the husband because the baby requires all her time. You know, you get all of a sudden somebody at home that doesn't sleep when you need sleep, does not rest when you want to rest. What I tell couple is that this relationship must take a different approach. You must have someone to come and watch this baby at least once or twice a week to give you a break to be with each other, to connect with each other. Because the baby is not only the mother baby, it's the husband. And they need to engage them. So you know that it is complicated, but out of this complication comes a decision to say, I need to do it. And she must make time. Because she's also exhausted. You know, I recall the first few months of having a baby. I mean, the baby doesn't sleep. How can anyone in their right strength stay up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's why the depression seeps in. Postpartum depression takes place. So you need to say, we need to get a babysitter, we need to get a nanny, maybe mom will watch the baby. And believe me, trust your mother-in-law and father. They really are better in it than you. But when you have a baby, you think no one else in the world had a baby. And your mother doesn't know how to raise a baby. Where did you come from? But that is the human reaction. But if you're wise, the baby in the first year doesn't mind whoever, as long as he's carried, he's changed, he's cuddled, he's burped, hey, happy. He's a hunky-dory. And you need to space your time efficiently. Any other question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Of course, proud to be an Orthodox, and one of the things, of course, including myself, that not being here every Sunday for service and being involved in more activities, I think that would be a very good, healthy way to bring the bond back together with the church and with everybody else. But at the same time, I believe that, of course, the marriage has to be together at the church to bring that bond. Do you think that helps in future with marriage, being at church, bringing the kids, pretty much everything?
I have raised here 4 or 5 generations, and I'll give you a survey. The family that commit to the church, bring their kids to the church, days in and days out. And this is what you're going to face. Your children will be the most privileged generation because you have more than your parents even. And you begin to sign them up for dance recital, football, basketball, dance, what else? Golf, 20 million other hobbies. And today's parents, they think that will make a well-rounded individual. That's a lot. Children need activity, but they need socialization. They need entertainment, but they need downtime. They need to be challenged. They need to learn how to live with their own emptiness.
Today kids are so wired up that I've seen them are shuttled from one event to another, and parents don't talk to them. The kids that we raised here are the most adjusted kids. They come to church, they come with their parents, they go to Sunday school, they go to camp, they learn about their cousins and relatives, and they grow in the spirit of a community. That makes the healthiest of all children. That means life is a community. You're not isolated. Now, I know also not every man and woman can come to church on Sunday. I mean, I know this is a fact. And I know what you do. You work on weekend. I know people are called an emergency. But keeping an effort to do it as much as you can, it can help you in the process. And I've seen many of the kids here who've grown up here in this church. Yes, they still face difficulty and problems, but they handle it better. Many of you, when you were young, I've seen you, and I've seen you day in and day out. So church is very, very important. It gives you stability, and it gives you a sense of the mystery of God and the awesomeness of God. And it gives you a sense that I'm not alone here. And that's why I attempt when people come to church that they leave feeling better about their life, feeling better about where they're at in their life. And they're not alone. Others share their sorrow. And the best example is in time of tragedy. You will find people who show up from where and everywhere. And that's a great comfort. Where would you find that but in the church? Thank you. Any other questions? Your generation today, yes, son.
If I wanted to come to church, and say my fiance is not, originally from our community, is there a process that she has to go through, or can she just come?
Every church holds its own, reserve its own right. If you go today to the Catholic Church and you open the Missal, and you find a letter from the Catholic bishop says that communion is only preserved or reserved to only Roman Catholic. If you go to an Orthodox church, you will find that, yes, do we practice open communion? No. Because communion say, I belong to that parish. So I advise couple, before they get married, make a decision where you want to go. Now, if your wife is not Orthodox, these are the classes that at least explain the faith. But we will not impose on her to become. But the question is, when you have children, where would they be baptized? Where would you go? These things can also bring a lot of conflict, and people do not talk about it now because it's negative. But these are the issues you need to talk about. You need to pray together, belong to a church. I have so many non-Orthodox people join our church, but they still have family who are non-Orthodox. You know what I'm saying? They are welcome. I have never turned anybody's down. My nature. When you come take communion, I don't know, I don't ask. I presume you're a member of the church. And so I don't ask. But communion is a sign that we belong to that church. And communion makes you one together in marriage, in the sacrament, in morality, in everything you do in the church. Now, some priests, sometimes they sit in the church that, well, only those who belong to our church can take communion. Sometimes it's very offensive to a lot of people from the Middle East. They don't like that. Because in the Middle East, we have a lot of intermarriage. Catholic and Orthodox and Protestant. And so we all become family. And we do not want to separate you. I mean, when you join this church, doesn't mean you're a Catholic family and your Protestant father and mother, they stop being your parents. It is just you made a choice to be married. Okay? And we have classes with Father Jim that will explain the faith day at a time. But the best explanation is just go to church. You go to church, you feel the temperament. Sometimes you may not feel comfortable the first time. Well, if you don't come to church and your family's not here, and you feel like an odd, but your mother and father here, and you come one day and the second day, you don't wait for people to say hello. You say hello to other people. You reach out to other people. You say hello to them. You know, sometimes in America today there is a movement of these mega churches. We have one here, Northridge, and they attract all people who belong to nobody. They don't belong to any church. They have no parents, no family, no brother. And in America there's a lot of us like that. So they make a family together. But the average membership in these mega churches goes between 4 to 5 years, and then people drop out. Nothing more stable than your church. It's 2,000 years old. It has the test of time, and it survived. Unfortunately, we cannot change for the sake of change the church. The church is a stability for us. We need to change our life to fit the church, rather have the church to change their life to fit my lifestyle. We have to take it seriously. But there are all kind of churches. I have never been a person who says Catholic is better than Orthodox, or better than Coptic better than... I never dwelled on that, because we all come from different backgrounds. Okay? But I have an open door. Anyone can come to the church. Any other question? Well, I thank you, and I pray that God will bless you. And I said, this is only, we scratch the surface. If you need me to sign anything for you, I am here. Otherwise, you can go. You're dismissed. Thank you.